Hey, this is Julissa. Thank you so much everyone for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much to everybody who is listening in the podcast. It is Thursday, June 5th, 2025. I'm here to speak about the breaking news regarding Newsboys lead singer or ex-lead singer Michael Tait. Okay, I had come here early in January of this year 2025 and tell you the breaking news that Michael Tait was leaving the Newsboys after 15 years. And then about a week and a half ago or something, I also came here and give you the update regarding him and how the Newsboys had a scheduled Canadian tour to begin this summer that was canceled because there was a lack of transparency on the band regarding the sudden exit of Michael Tait. And now it has finally come to the surface, everything that has been going on regarding Michael Tait. And like I said, today is Thursday, June the 5th, 2025. Guys, this is very unfortunate in the Christian community that things like this are being brought to the surface, meaning that it's basically exposing everything. It's unfortunate, and it's also it's good to see how, you know, this is the year of exposure that we've been calling it since, you know, this year, also 2024. So it's sad to see things like this coming to the surface, but at the same time it's a good thing because we need to stop with the mockery. Okay, God is not mocked. Okay, I don't understand how it is that people believe that they're going to continue on with their ministry and their leadership positions in the Christian community and do crazy stuff behind closed doors and think that God is just gonna let them be and go along with that. Trust me, if anything, everything that's happening in the Christian community should be an alarm for anybody who knows, right, that they are struggling with something. If anything, that person should be removing their own self from ministry as we speak, okay? Because then, you know, it's gonna be exposed. God is coming from a clean church, and he's obviously shaking up this church. He's shaking up the scene. He's, you know, like I said in all my videos, every other day there's a pastor, there is a musician, there is a YouTuber. Things are being brought up to the surface on purpose. Okay, and this one is crazy because I remember in January I came here and I said, you know, an influencer like Michael Tait, who has been in the band for 15 years, and before that he was on DC Talk with Toby Mac for so many years, being kind of like a pioneer in the Christian community for all these years, and one day was like, okay, I'm leaving. It doesn't work like that, right? And nobody demanded accountability from the Newsboys. Nobody demanded accountability for this very famous Christian band until it reached another country, and they were like, hold on one second, we need to know exactly what's going on. And I told you guys last week was that kind of revealed exactly what the American Christian church is. It's like, we don't see anything, we don't ask questions, we just continue along, and, you know, you do you, and just, you know, whatever. You want to leave the band after 15 years, don't say nothing else, okay? But because you know, God is exposing everything, now we have the breaking news stories about Michael Tait. And I'm gonna briefly tell you exactly what's going on, okay? Right now there's some serious allegations. He's being accused very seriously about SA, I don't want to say what it is, right? You guys can pick on that. SA, grooming and substance abuse dating back to 2004. And the blogger who put this out last night, I remember reading it last night, and I was like, this is gonna be the breaking news for today. And it's so sad. I was like, I can't take it anymore. I stopped reading it maybe halfway through because it's so disappointing to hear something like this. And it's so disappointing. And people, I know back in January when I told you that Michael Tait had quit the Newsboys, people are like, you know, it's always that person that's always like they can do whatever they want. I mean, it's their life. We're not talking about Pedro who lives down the road. We're talking about a very well-known Christian musician who has been in the scene for a very long time, who did the song God's Not Dead, who did the movie that went with that song, right? Who has been in every tour there is, who have been with the president, who has done so much, and one day decides to go during the last days, right? Because we are living in the last days, and people are mad because you're saying, what happened here? Don't question what he's doing. Yeah, we have to question, because we have a whole generation looking up to people like the Newsboys who are wondering, wow, did he just left? Like, what is going on, right? And when you don't explain something, right, you think you're gonna play with the Christianity, play with the gospel, it's gonna be exposed, right? That's what I'm saying. This should be an alarm, okay, to anybody who's in ministry, to be like, let me self-analyze myself and be like, if I know, right, because we know what we pray about to God, right? What we ask for grace and mercy, right? And maybe you shouldn't be in leadership position at this moment, right? If anything, you should be seeking counseling. So right now, there's accusations about all of that dating back to 2004 regarding Michael Tait. It has been called Nashville's worst kept secret. For decades, allegations have circulated that the Newsboys frontman Michael Tait, formerly from DC Talk, has groomed and essayed numerous victims, it says here. And like I said, this report is coming from the Royce report. You can do your research and you'll be able to read it. They also have a YouTube channel called the Royce report. Okay, and it says here, after 2.5-year investigation by the Royce report, which included interviewing more than 50 sources, they document allege that Tait predatory pattern with stories dating back for more than 2 decades. 3 men spoke to this news investigation, saying that Michael Tait befriended them individually on Christian music tours from 2004 to 2014, and they were all these men were 22 years old at the time. The men stated that they were drinking alcohol. Okay, you go with one moment you are on stage singing, God's not dead, he's surely alive, and then you go backstage and it's like, the drinking game, right? This double life that people are playing with fire, that they think God is not gonna expose it. Okay, and I know people can look at this and be like, oh, don't try to be self-righteous. Nothing like this, right? This is the issue. This is the issue with Christianity, because we can look at the Catholic Church when there's a scandal and we can be like, oh, those priests, they're always abusing children, they're always doing this stuff. And then in the Christian community, we like to keep things hidden. Nobody says anything. If you call something out, you're being self-righteous. And they're like, well, he is good because God is blessing him. Look how many people come to see his concert. Look how many people come to see the church. They're actually doing something good, right? This is the issue, right? Transparency is non-existent anymore, right? It's just crazy. So this this behavior that was presented during concerts is basically, there was a lot of drinking and substance abuse backstage at the concerts. Okay, 2 men stated that they were drinking with Tait, and later woke up to him, doing really bad stuff. I'm not gonna explain it here. And another person said that Michael Tait offered him also a substance to consume during the Newsboys tour bus. Okay, so it's I'm not gonna read every detail by detail, but we know that in DC Talk 1995 album Jesus Freak spent 79 weeks on Billboard 200 list back in 1995, like I said. And the Tait's music career has been nothing short of spectacular, starting with the band DC Talk, okay, winning 4 Grammys before the band this hiatus in 2001. Tait, along with fellow Liberty University alumni Toby Mac and Kevin Smith, made history in contemporary Christian music. In their 2019 book, Jesus Freak, and they call the band nothing less than the Beatles of Christian music, right? Very well known. We know Toby Mac is very well known. Obviously, Michael Tait, and then Kevin. I didn't remember, there was something with Kevin, something about him becoming questioning kind of like the Christian belief. I don't know if that happened in 2019, and there was a whole controversy about that. He was actually referring to the belief about LGBTQ, right? So I'm sure Kevin knows a lot of stuff, right? And here's the thing when it comes to this, right? Because now we have a statement from the Newsboys that they're saying that they're very surprised to hear all these allegations regarding Michael Tait. Let me just tell you something, and this is just my opinion here. You go on tour with this man that is your lead singer. You known him for 15 years, okay? And now that we don't know. We don't know how he operates. We don't know how. I mean, this is crazy that they're acting like they had no idea, right? These people, this is my opinion, I had the feeling that these people knew back in January why he just left. Of course, they're not gonna come and say it. Maybe they were waiting for Michael to come out and say it, but it looks to me as though somebody has noticed something, probably somebody new in the group, right? I'm not referring to Adam at all. I'm thinking somebody probably behind the scenes who noticed some type of behavior from Tait and brought it to the attention of leadership, right? And probably presented, this can really bring the entire group down if this comes out, right? This is just my observation. And then everything started unraveling back in, the early in January this year. It's crazy to me. I mean, people know your behavior. For them to say, we have been on tour, we have done concerts, we have done rehearsal, we have done so much. I mean, I remember one time on Instagram, Michael Tait put a video of the band rehearsing at his house. And these people are gonna say, we had no idea that there was substance abuse or drinking. Are you serious? Who are we kidding? Do people know your behavior? Your coworkers know your behavior. I remember working at a store briefly, it was for the holiday season, and I remember this supervisor, very manly guy, who just became a whole different person. There was a specific guy who would come and shop. The moment this man would walk in, like, this guy turned into a whole different person. I was there for the holiday season. I picked on that right away. I was like, there's something weird. This is so weird. This behavior is weird, because he goes from being so professional. And, one thing is when you see your friends and they come visit you when you work in retail. But this was a different thing, right? If you guys know what I mean. It was like the whole demeanor, the body language changed, right? And this is crazy that they're going to act like they're going to wash their hands, who do you want us to save, right? They're gonna say, we have no idea, I'm just doing what the people say, right? Really so weird that they're saying, we really side by all these allegations that are happening. People, they know your behavior, they see how you operate, right? They see what gets you angry, especially when you're working with them, right? If somebody's late, that gets you angry, they know. If you're always late, they know, right? Like, things like this, right? So it's just strange that they're gonna now wash their hands and say, we have no idea that this was happening. But we'll see what comes out of this. It's very sad. Like I said, this is not oh yeah, get them all out, because this gives such a bad reputation for the Christian community, and it's just so sad to see this happening. So sad, and it's kind of hard to believe. I know there's these allegations, and I don't know what's gonna come out of this. Are they gonna investigate more or whatever, right? I don't know, but you need to understand that everything is being exposed. I was gonna read to you guys some of the things that caught my attention here in this report. Was that one of the accusers said that he noticed how Michael Tait, when he was on the stage, one of the accusers, when he was on the stage, he noticed how Michael Tait would come out and just kind of like focus on him and watch him, right, perform. right? And this reminds me of something. It's so crazy. I saw the Newsboys when they came to Danbury one time, and I remember looking at Michael Tait. It's so weird because this is mentioned here in this article. Like I said, you know, I remember one thing about him was that when they came here to my city and they were performing, you know, they came with there was a lot of other groups performing. It was a band, I don't know, the guys who sing Control, right? And I don't know if they're called Seven Times Down or something like this. I know there were other bands part of the opening act, right, for the Newsboys. And I remember Michael Tait came and he was just standing behind by the sound booth, right? And I was basically like right there. And I was like, I cannot believe there's Michael Tait right there. But Michael Tait was not even, he not once turned around to look at the people. This man was, you know, he had focal vision on the stage. It makes you wonder, like, man, what he like, it's almost like the way he was intensively just staring at the stage was like he is either like a judge or like he's like the big boss that he's just trying to see what they're doing, right? And you were like, you know, as a fan, right? Well, as a fan, when they came here, I was like waiting for him to kind of like just wave or something. This man was just, he's like just standing there staring at it. That's crazy because this reminds me, this guy, right? The guy, one of the accusers said, this is what he said. Look at this. Lead singer Chris Sly recounted the moment that they first saw Steven, saying he was intensively focused on the 22-year-old while their band played on stage before a Newsboys set in Columbia, Maryland on September 17. So it reminded me of that. So I wonder if that band that I just mentioned had some type of issue with, you know, Michael Tait, because this guy was not even budging. I mean, the arena was getting filled up, people were coming by, and he is not interested in looking at nobody. He's just on the stage, he's just looking straight across, staring at the stage. So this is crazy. Another thing too that we have to keep in mind when it comes to SA, we understand that probably 99% of people who deal with, you know, dealing with the LGBTQ community, a lot of people that go through that is because they were SA when they were younger. That's just, it's so crazy. But you hear their stories and, you know, you hear somewhere in their childhood something happened. So it makes you, you know, you kind of feel for him. But this predatory behavior that he presented according to these allegations, which are very serious, okay, it's kind of like, wow, this is crazy. And then, you know, because people know you, right? And when you are friends for so long with somebody, you learn who they are. I mean, you would think, I mean, no matter, people cannot hide it so much, right? So he's been good friends with Toby Mac, right? And once again, this is just my opinion, right? For some reason, please hear me out. When I first heard about this, the crazy thing that came to my mind, the only thing that came to my mind flashingly was like, wait a second, Toby Mac's older son also, you know, he you know, he died, right? You guys know what happened with that. And, you know, I'm just gonna leave it there. It's so crazy, but that's what came to my mind. I really hope nothing was there, right? But we'll see. And all of these allegations are very serious. It's the last thing you want to see in the Christian community happen. It was just very odd that back in January 15 or 16, out of so many years doing that for so long, building basically your empire, doing all of that, you just one day you're gonna be like, bye, and say, you know, this actually surprised me as well. Like, but you said you were fasting and praying about it, right? So it's almost like you kind of knew there was a decision that was gonna come out of this, right? And also we need to notice how quickly the band replaces the vocals and all of the music, right? That's something that you always have to remember. Like, it was a very quick, you learn so much how when you are replaced at a workplace, how quickly kind of like you like, these people just want to wipe me out, basically. Like, I left on Friday, by Monday, like, there was not even a record of my of anything, right? And they replaced within a week all the vocals and everything. Like, that was very strange to me, in my opinion. I'm gonna see what else I can read to you guys and see what people are saying, because one thing, the Newsboys, they say that they are horrified, heartbroken, and angry. That's what they're saying. They had no idea this was happening. So, like I told you guys, this is what they say through a lawyer. Quote unquote, the Newsboys say, last night our hearts were shattered when we read the news alleging drug abuse and inappropriate actions by a former lead singer, the band wrote in a statement. While Michael has not addressed any of these allegations, we are devastated by the implications. So, like I said, I mean, I don't understand. Like, it's so hard to believe that they had no idea this was going on. Like, you go to the supermarket. I don't know, people remember things, right? Even if you go, like if you visit a restaurant very often, they'll be like, oh, you want to see by the window? I know you like that because last time you were here, you liked that. And you're like, man, I was here just one time, and they already know where I like to sit. And these people go on tour, they rehearse, they do sound check, they do food, they do concert, they do events, they do, award ceremony, and they're like, we had no idea. He was like, we had no clue. That's a little weird to me. Like, are you serious? There is a change in behavior that you notice on people, right? I know the whole thing is about protecting here, but once again, you guys, this is also bringing to the surface that we have a big problem with sin in the churches. Everything has been the message of prosperity, and not just that. It's just about, God is gonna bless you, and God, the holiness message has been taken away basically from a lot of these places. And when that happens, right, then you get the fruit of it. I'm sure this is not the only case we're going to hear about. It hasn't been the only case we have heard about for the last 8 months, right? There's so many of them, right? So it's just sad. It's just sad. And then what I heard the other day, there was a Christian singer who is he's topping the charts at the moment, right? And he's talking about how he needs to kind of like, the Christianese, I didn't like that he used that term, something about the Christianese songs and things like this. It's like, what are we doing right now? That sounds like a mockery to me, just by even saying something like this. And you are kind of like the top leading Christian singer at this moment, and you trying to say, I cannot make it all Christian for the new people. Like, what? Are you trying to say that because you're coming up with an album that's going to involucrate less of Christ and more of, his name, his name is so this, his name, like, who are you talking about? Can you just say the name, right? Oh no, we got to keep it, safe so that we can get money from the big corporations, right? It's so crazy. If we don't call it out, no change is going to happen. Right? And God is not mad. No wonder no wonder that verse is in the Bible. He's gonna look at them and be like, depart from me, I never knew you. And they're like, but in your name we did so much. That's in the Bible, right? That's, you know, this is our time, guys, to get right with the Lord and stop playing this double life. God is not mocked. God is not mocked. Everything will be exposed. Let me know, guys. I don't even want to read the comments because I'm sure, you know, I can only imagine. So let me know. Yes, before I finish, yes, does Michael Tait get grace, mercy? Of course, that's all. That's available for all of us. But he also needs to face the actions of his, you know, consequences for his actions. That's what I meant to say. Grace is available, mercy, forgiveness, all of that is available through the blood of Jesus Christ. But now he needs to face the consequences for his actions. Let me know, guys, what you think about this. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back to my channel. Thank you to everybody who's listening in the podcast. God bless. Everybody, this is Julissa. Thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good day, everybody. God bless.